Tammy Baldwin would force women's shelters to admit biological men. She's too extreme for Wisconsin.
It's the Planet Fitness Strong Choice Sale. Join for $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends October 10th.
This is Michael Popak. Legal AF. Donald Trump's playing with dynamite again, and it's about to blow up in his face in the D.C. election interference case in front of Judge Chutkan, because instead of filing what she told him to do and following her orders to file an appropriate opposition and request to have certain aspects of the next filing by the special prosecutor, the 300-page plus appendix containing witness statements and evidence and trial exhibits and other things that they're going to use to prove Donald Trump committed the crimes, instead of doing what she told him to do, he effectively told Judge Chutkan to go legal AF herself. I mean, in so many words. In particular, he filed a one-page piece of paper, not compliant with the judge's orders, flouting the judge's orders, attacking the judge again, and all he has to say for himself, citing absolutely no case law. It is devoid of any legal analysis, reasoning, or case law. It does cite to Ellie Honig's commentary on CNN and another theory in a magazine that, Jack Smith's got an October surprise for Donald Trump. It's all Donald Trump is left with now, and his lawyers. They're so intellectually and legally exhausted. They're now just reading the headlines off of anything that looks interesting to them and throwing it in to try to stop the inevitable, which is this judge is about to release to the public hundreds of new pages of evidence and documents and witness statements and grand jury material to prove that Donald Trump did the crime before the election and while people are voting. And all Donald Trump has to say for himself in his filing earlier today was, it's the election, people are voting, Your Honor. You shouldn't let any more out. Now, I said in an earlier hot take on our other sister channel, Legal AF MTN, that he was going to complain again that the whole process is upside down, that she shouldn't allow any more out, that he's going to make the same tired objections, including election interference. She was going to quickly reject it, and then she was going to put all of this information into the public domain, giving the prosecutor two opportunities, not one, two opportunities to present their case, if you will, to the American people before the election. And Donald Trump has completely abdicated his responsibility to tell the American people anything differently. He's got nothing to say, saying anything. There's no other way to explain how two what once were reasonably well-respected lawyers filed a one-page document. Well, Judge Chutkan had her own 1.5 pages, because within hours after they filed, Donald Trump filed his piece of paper, which, again, no legal argument, no case law, no analysis at all, just telling the judge, we stand on the same objections, Judge. We're not even going to give you what you told us to give you. We're not going to give you our proposals on how to black out certain of these pages that Jack Smith has provided you. This is, again, another example of Donald Trump taking the game ball and going home from practice while the real game is still going on. And so he's in contempt. He violated a court order again, blames it on the judge, blames it on everybody else, and the judge had a comeback for him. My favorite part, I'm going to read to you now from Donald Trump and then the court's response. The court's response, I'll give it to you up front. The court's response was, I'm going to grant whatever the government told me that is the proper redaction and blackout for the 300 pages, I am going to grant that. Okay. Now, what she did last time with the 165-page brief is that she immediately had the clerk post it to the public docket. As soon as she read Donald Trump's objection, which really wasn't an objection. Yeah, that's not an objection. There's just no legal grounds that you're a candidate for office and there's an election going on. As soon as she granted that, she immediately ordered the clerk to post it to the public record, and we were able to get our hands on it. And we thought then that Donald Trump made a mistake in his lawyers, that they didn't ask for time to go take an immediate appeal and provide the grounds for it and ask the judge, don't post it in the public docket because then the cat will be out of the bag, whatever that phrase is. Don't do it. And we thought, well, maybe he should do it now. So instead of filing what he was supposed to file, he now gets around to asking for some relief on no basis, with no case law, and doesn't tell her what he wants. Here's what he says in his filing. It says, There should be no further disclosures at this time of the so-called evidence that the special counsel's office has unlawfully cherry-picked and mischaracterized during early voting in the 2024 presidential election in connection with an improper presidential immunity filing that has no basis in criminal procedure or judicial precedent. This is like a seventh grader doing debate.
With high inflation, working families like mine are hurting. And while we struggle, Kamala Harris supported spending our tax dollars to give illegals sex changes. It's not just liberal, it's insane. Kamala can never be our president.
Apologies to all seventh graders that do debate. All right. Okay. That's the same arguments you made before that were losers. President Trump maintains his objections. By the way, you note that he doesn't say, other than saying there's cherry picking and there's mischaracterizations, he doesn't say, oh, and I want to get my brief in on time to tell the American people why I should be exonerated, why the 165 pages all properly vetted and footnoted and backed by pieces of evidence and triple pieces of evidence, why all that should be ignored. He doesn't say that. Then he says that it's all in violations and none of it should be allowed. And then he cites, listen to this, this is my favorite part. He doesn't cite to a case law. He just says, under motion for immunity determination, citing Ellie Honig, the CNN commentator, Jack Smith's October cheap shot in New York Magazine, which nobody reads even in New York. And then another opinion piece but in the New York Times by somebody, I don't even know who, Jack Goldsmith. Jack Smith owes us an explanation. New York Times. I thought the New York Times, Trump was a failing newspaper that nobody read. But he cites to it as a credible newspaper of record. The court, then here's the part that made everybody laugh, including the judge. If the court decides to release additional information relating to the office's filings, in the appendix or otherwise, President Trump respectfully requests that the court stay the determination for a reasonable period of time, undefined, so that President Trump can, and I'm like, here we go, can file an appellate brief and an emergency application to the D.C. Court of Appeals and then to the United States Supreme Court. That's not what he says. He said it's to evaluate litigation options relating to the decision. This sounds like Trump at the debate. He doesn't have a replacement for Obamacare. He has options that he's considering to one day maybe bring forward. Today's episode is brought to you by Ollie. And I'm not the only one excited about this new sponsor, my furry part of the family. Our lab border collie mix Lily is too. Clean, fresh nutrition your dog needs in 5 flavors they'll absolutely flip over. You don't have to be a veterinary nutritionist to know that feeding your dog real, whole foods with minimal processing is one of the best choices you can make for their health. A perfectly portioned whole fresh food diet has been proven to extend your pup's life by 2.5 years. With absolutely no harmful fillers, no preservatives, Ollie is made in U.S. kitchens with ingredients carefully sourced from trusted growers and producers around the world. Because the time between Ollie's gentle cooking and your dog chowing down is minimal, they don't need preservatives to extend shelf life. With 5 protein-first recipes like fresh beef with sweet potatoes, fresh turkey with blueberries, or fresh lamb with cranberries, you might start thinking, dang, my dog eats better than I do. And that's probably true when it comes to Ollie. Here's how it works. Fill out Ollie's 30-second quiz, and they'll create a customized meal plan based on your pup's weight, activity level, and other health info. Ollie crunches the numbers and recommends the right recipes and daily portions for your precious pup based on hundreds of thousands of real dog results. And for any first-timers, Ollie will send out your pup's first box with 2 weeks worth of meals and a guide of how to gradually switch them over to their new diet. Ollie offers 3 meal plans to choose from. So you can choose between a full fresh plan, fresh topper plan, or a mixed plan with their freshly baked recipes for your special fur baby. They also have treats and supplements. Who doesn't want more time with their best friend? My wife and I rescued Lily, a muddy-paws puppy saved from the floods in Tennessee almost 3 years ago. and we have made it our mission to give her an amazing and healthy life in her forever home. And she really thrives on fresh ingredients, veggies, and proteins, instead of that, well, let's admit it, sad kibble we used for years. We always had trouble with weight management and lost a prior dog who suffered from chronic health conditions her whole life. That's where Ollie comes in.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
I am totally opposed to abortion.
You heard him.
I am totally opposed to abortion.
What would Eric Hovde do in the Senate? Mitch McConnell and extremists would gain a majority. The power to ban abortion nationwide. No exceptions for rape or incest. Criminal penalties for doctors. More extreme anti-abortion judges on the courts.
I am totally opposed to abortion.
Eric Hovde, what's wrong with this guy?
Do you know what's really fun? Making a website on Wix.
Hey, we're How Ridiculous, 3 childhood friends and digital content creators that do epic stuff from Perth, Australia.
We've got about 50 million followers. We're in the billions of views, and we're a small team. We always felt like our content was all about entertainment and being fun, but there was also this, sort of professional business side. One of the things that we knew was basically essential was getting our own website, so people would actually see a proper official group who mean business and who can deliver. And we now get unbelievable opportunities to do things like film balloon popping races with Manchester City. I don't know all the things that we're going to get to do in the next year or 5 years, but if we can do this as a job, anything's possible.
Right now, Ollie is offering a fantastic deal to let your pup taste test a personalized meal plan. So head to ollie.com, tell them all about your dog, and use Legal AF, and you'll get 60% off your first box of meals when you subscribe today. Head to OLLIE.com and enter code LEGALAF to get 60% off your first box. They offer a clean bowl guarantee on their first box, so if you're not completely satisfied, you can get your money back. That's ollie.com and enter code LEGALAF to get 60% off your first box. So the judge took one look at this, including this phrase, evaluating litigation options, whatever that means, in some indeterminate period of time, which is him begging for mercy to get an extra week to file something somewhere to stop the madness against Donald Trump. We got the order. Didn't take her long to read a page. Didn't take her long to write an order. Here's the order. Defendant has now filed an opposition objecting to unsealing any part of the appendix. As in his previous filing, this is Trump, he identifies no specific substantive objections to particular proposed redactions. In other words, Trump's lawyers got a copy of what the government proposes. It's just the public hasn't seen it. They've seen all the black tape and the redactions, whatever it is. And they should be filing chapter and verse objections to that, but they didn't. Instead, the defendant, quote, maintains his objections to, quote, further disclosures at this time for the same reasons he opposed unsealing the motion in the first place. And he requests that, quote, if the court decides to release additional information, that the court stay the determination for a reasonable period of time so he can evaluate litigation options relating to the decision. Insert laughing emoji here. The court says, I got a job to do, effectively. I'm going to, for the same reason set forth in its decision with respect to the earlier motion, the court determines that the government's proposed redactions to the appendix are appropriate and that defendants' blanket objections to further unsealing are without merit. As the court has stated previously, defendants' concern with the political consequences of these proceedings is not a cognizable legal prejudice. Accordingly, this is the punchline for the order. The government's motion for leave to file an unredacted motion under seal and to file a redacted motion on public docket is granted with respect to the proposed version of the appendix. That's that compendium of hundreds and hundreds of pages, 30 pages of single-space footnotes of all the evidence that is referenced in the 165-page brief from last week. However, she threw, I don't want to say it was a bone, she threw an anvil at Donald Trump's head. She did it in a snarky way that makes me love Judge Chutkan even more. The court will grant defendant's request for a stay so that he can, quote, evaluate litigation options. Just for those that don't practice law for a living, that's not a thing. That's not a concept. That's not a doctrine. We didn't learn capital E, capital L, capital O, evaluate litigation options as a course in law school. It's not a thing. And that's what the judge is calling out. She will stay her decision for 7 days. It's now up, balls in your court, Donald Trump, or dynamite's in your face, Donald Trump. Do what you want. You want to try to take an emergency application to the United States Supreme Court or go through the D.C. Court of Appeals? Go ahead. You got a week to do it. Whatever you're going to do, crap or get off the pot in a week. Because if after the week I don't have a stay order that's been issued by some of my bosses at the appellate level, Judge Chutkan is telling him, then it goes to the immediate docket. All of this evidence to the immediate docket for us to talk about. So calendar right now, everybody, I'll meet you back here in a week's time. If in a week, if on the 17th of October, a higher court has not stopped or blocked Judge